Discover how one woman's heartwarming act for a crying senior exposed an incredible family secret. Emma wiped the counter of Maplewood Diner, the warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the sweet scent of homemade pies. It was a quaint little place packed with the laughter of families and the whispers of old friends. But that day, a drizzly afternoon, the familiar chatter hung heavier in the air. Emma's eyes landed on Mr. Johnson, a tender-hearted elderly man, slumped at the counter, tears running down his lined cheeks like raindrops splattering the window. "Can I get you a coffee, Mr. Johnson?" she asked softly, her heart clenching at the sight of his sorrow. As she poured the steaming cup, a faint smile flickered across his face. "Thank you, Emma. Just remembering." His voice quivered, revealing cracks deep within. It wasn't the first time Emma noticed Mr. Johnson's lonely presence. Over the years, he had become one of her favorite regulars, a kind soul plagued by a hidden pain. "What's weighing on your heart today?" she pressed gently. With a sigh, his weary gaze met hers, and he began to unravel his story of family lost to grief, bridges burned long ago over a tragic accident that had torn them apart. As he spoke, Emma felt an astonishing connection stirring deep within her, a familiarity she couldn't quite place. She realized in that moment that compassion had the power not only to heal but to uncover. What if we could help? Emma's words held hope, a spark igniting between them. Determined to bridge the chasms of their pasts, she promised to assist him in reaching out to his estranged family. The two forged an unlikely bond, united in their quest to heal old wounds, compelling Emma to dig deeper into Mr. Johnson's history and perhaps her own. Then, through letters and faded photographs, Emma stumbled upon a chilling truth: Mr. Johnson's life was intricately bound to her family. Her grandfather, a gallant war hero, had been the very man who once embraced Mr. Johnson in friendship, lost to time and circumstance. The chill that ran down Emma's spine was what made her more resolute than ever. The legacy of humility and honor that had been buried alongside her grandfather's unsung sacrifices called for recognition. Just as Emma worked on organizing a reunion, a local leader emerged, his classist attitudes drumming discord, defying them in their quest for unity. These were the barriers Emma had to break down, and with her heart pounding, she knew the time had come to speak the truth. Mr. Johnson matters. My grandfather matters. Our stories matter. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma's words resonated like thunder, leaving the townsfolk teetering on a precipice of self-reflection. Would they choose to embrace the stories that shaped them, or would they let prejudices stand in their way? But just as things seemed to shift, a dark revelation surfaced about Mr. Johnson's past, a secret that could taint what Emma believed was a newfound connection. Faces turned, the murmurs swirled. Emma's heart raced. Could their joined legacy withstand a new storm? As Maplewood held its breath, Emma found herself yearning for answers. What unspoken truths awaited her and the town? Would they collectively rally for forgiveness, or would fractures deepen? Emma could only hope that love and community spirit would prevail in the heart of Maplewood. Emma stood behind the counter, her hands trembling, unsure of what to do next. The diner, once filled with laughter, now buzzed with whispers and concerned glances. Mr. Johnson's past was shrouded in shadows, and as his secret threatened to unravel the fragile threads of connection they had spun together, she felt the weight of the town's judgment. The flickering lights above mirrored her racing heart. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Mr. Johnson, what is it we need to know? Is there something from your past that can change our future?" He looked up at her, sorrow etched on his face. "My dear, some things are better left buried. But if the truth is what you seek, then perhaps you have a right to hear it." His voice carried a tremor that tugged at her heartstrings. A quiet murmur spread through the diner as people leaned in, their ears hungry for the drama unfolding before them. Emma knew, with every fiber of her being, that this was a pivotal moment. Not just for her, or for Mr. Johnson, but for the whole community. The town had a choice to make: embrace the truth or allow fear to further divide them. "I believe people can change," Emma said, looking around at the familiar faces that filled her diner. "Isn't that what we all want? Understanding and forgiveness?" Mr. Johnson clenched his jaw, the shadows of a lifetime reflecting in his eyes. "Forgiveness is easy when you're not the one carrying the burden of guilt." As he slowly began to share his story, the room fell into a hush. "Years ago, I made a mistake, one that cost me my family." He paused, taking a moment to steady himself. "An accident, they called it. One moment of distraction, it ended everything." Gasps echoed in the diner, reminders of a past that resonated deeply within Maplewood. Emma could see the pain in his eyes, the grief that had consumed him. "Your grandfather," Mr. Johnson continued, "was a hero that day. He saved lives when so many fled in panic." Tears pooled in Emma's eyes. The stories had always spoken of her grandfather's courage, and yet here was Mr. Johnson, opening the door to a grief shared, a tragedy that had once sown deeper rifts in their lives. "How could we have never known?" Emma whispered, her heart aching for both men. This was more than just a revelation, it was a chance for redemption. "Because it was easier to forget," Mr. Johnson said softly. "Sometimes, forgetting is the only way to survive." At that moment, younger faces began to look toward the elder statesman of Maplewood. The town's heart was in these shared histories, it was time they all acknowledged their past, however painful. Emma stepped closer to Mr. Johnson, her voice firm yet gentle. "We can't rewrite what happened, but we can work towards forgiveness together. You're not alone anymore." A flicker of hope passed through the diner. Could people really embrace the messiness of their histories and find healing in the truth? Just as the warmth of compassion began to spread, the door swung open with a loud bang and in strode the local leader, his expression a mix of disdain and disbelief. "What's this? A pity party for a man who caused tragedy?" Emma felt the air grow thick as the tension rose, and doubted began to seep back in. Would this be the point that divided them again? Or could they unify in their shared desire to heal? With her heart thrumming in her chest, Emma looked at Mr. Johnson, whose gaze met hers in quiet determination. This was the moment they had prepared for. The fight for acceptance had only just begun. As she turned to face the newcomer, Emma took a deep breath. The outcome of this confrontation could change everything. Our past doesn't define us, but how we choose to move forward does. In that charged atmosphere, could they stand together as a community and embrace the truth, or would fear tear them apart yet again? Emma's hand was poised to lead them into a new chapter, but the stakes had never been higher. The diner felt like a battlefield, and Emma stood at the center, her heart pounding in her chest. The local leader's scornful gaze scanned the room, making everyone shift uncomfortably in their seats. "You're defending him? A man who brings nothing but pain?" His voice cut through the silence like a knife. Emma stood tall, though the fear gripped her. "It's not about what he did, but what we can learn from it. Mr. Johnson didn't intend to hurt anyone. He's carried that guilt for far too long." The murmurs grew louder as her friends watched, unsure of how to proceed. Some wore expressions of doubt while others seemed to weigh their community's history against the possibility of healing. Emma could see the conflict in their eyes. They all felt the heavy burden of the town's shared trauma. Unyielding, the leader stepped forward. "We can't just forget. Families are still suffering because of his actions." His voice cracked, revealing the deep scars left behind by the incident. "My brother, he never recovered." A stillness filled the diner. The unexpected revelation hung in the air, and Emma felt the weight of their shared loss. It was a wound that ran deeper than she realized. Pain has stitched us together, she said quietly, her voice steady despite the turmoil. That's true. But that pain can lead us to understanding, if we allow it. Mr. Johnson, his face pale yet resolute, took a step forward. I never wanted to hurt anyone. Your brother's face haunts me every day. But I'm here, trying to make amends. We can face our past together or let it keep tearing us apart. The diner was a whirl of emotions. People exchanged glances, weighing Mr. Johnson's words against their own experiences. Hope flickered like the diner's lights, wavering but resilient. Can we hold on to our grievances or build something new? Emma urged. What if we focus on our strength as a community, rather than allowing our pain to keep us divided? A woman in the back finally spoke up. You're asking us to see him as a part of us, a part of our history? Can we really do that? Her voice trembled, yet it held a strength that resonated with others. Yes, Emma replied, her heart racing. It's a risk. But if we're brave enough to face our fears, we might just find a way to heal together. One by one, faces began to soften, eyes glimmering with the hardened reflection of their wounds. Yet beside those expressions, new glimmers of understanding sparked to life. Mr. Johnson's vulnerability began to penetrate the armor built over years of hurt. But just as a sense of unity seemed to blossom, the diner door flew open again, this time revealing a figure from the past that made Emma gasp. It was Marie, her childhood friend, who had moved away years ago after the accident, her family unable to cope with the grief. Am I too late? Marie asked, her voice unsure as she stepped into the room. The tension shifted, now wrapped around an unexpected twist. I just heard he was here. Emma felt a mixture of dread and excitement. Marie had vowed to never return, leaving Maplewood behind, a reminder of painful memories. Marie, Emma whispered, her heart racing with curiosity and concern. What would her presence mean for the fragile moment they had created? The diner's air thickened as all eyes turned to the newcomer, waiting for her next words. Would they find common ground in their shared past, or would it spark new rifts that could divide them once more? Everyone held their breath, the unspoken questions hanging heavier than before. Emma felt the weight of history crashing down upon them, and for a moment, all she could think was, where would this unexpected reunion lead them? Marie's gaze darted around the diner, each face a ghost from a past she thought she'd left behind. Her breathing quickened as she met Emma's eyes, the connection sending a surge of emotions through both of them: joy, pain, disbelief. Emma, Marie began, but her voice faltered under the weight of the moment, as if the enormity of speaking here, in front of so many haunting reminders, tightened around her throat. The silence was palpable. Emma felt the other patrons' eyes shift between Marie and Mr. Johnson, laughter and clinking silverware fading as collective breaths were held. The atmosphere hung thick with unresolved histories. Here is someone who never learned to leave, either. The local leader's voice broke the tension, a harsh edge underscoring his words. You think it's that easy? You can just come back and act like nothing happened? The harshness of his tone ignited a spark in Emma. No one is acting like nothing happened. She shot back. Marie left to heal. She is here now because she wants to face this with us, not run away from it. Marie nodded, her confidence slowly budding in the crowded diner. I heard what you were doing, Emma. I thought maybe. She hesitated before stepping closer, eyes darting to Mr. Johnson. Maybe I could help. The possibility hung like moonlight in the room, casting a soft glow over hard truths. Emma could feel that compassion brewing among their friends, each of them eager for something, a signal they could follow, hope they could grasp. What do you mean? The woman from the back spoke again, her voice trembling, yet curious. How do you want to help? I've spent years thinking about this, Marie said, glancing toward Mr. Johnson, her voice rising. I thought fleeing was my only option, but it wasn't. I realized the only way to change things is to confront them. I couldn't run from the hurt forever. With renewed bravery, she looked around the room, locking eyes with familiar faces. We're all trying to heal. We can do it together. We have to be willing to take those first steps. Emma's heart swelled with hope as murmurs of agreement spread like wildfire. It was a way out of the darkness, a chance to pool their strength and confront the shadows that haunted Maplewood, but with that hope came a deep trepidation, the risk that such a path could unravel more than just shared pain. "Marie, are you sure?" Emma asked softly, the question hanging like a vulnerable thread between them. "This history, it's heavy. Are you ready for that?" "I want to be," Marie whispered, the determination shimmering in her eyes. "I want to make peace." As she stood in front of the gathering crowd, Marie transformed from a ghost of the past into a beacon of possibility. Yet Emma could sense the tension bubbling beneath the surface, a conflict still simmering, a fraught elephant in the room. Just then, Mr. Johnson cleared his throat, and the diner fell silent again. "I want to apologize, Marie. I never meant to be the reason you had to leave." His words cut, raw and honest, resonating with the ache of unresolved burdens. The air thickened again, charged with renewed emotion. "It wasn't just you," Marie started, but the weight of all those years choked the words back. As she wrestled with the memory of what could have been, Emma felt another ripple of urgency. Could they truly come together to confront the past? Sharing the heaviness of their pain had become a strength. But could they share that burden with one more revelation? "Something has to change," Emma urged, her voice a mix of hope and anxiety. "We can't allow our history to hold us hostage anymore. Let us create a new story together." But as Marie nodded, something dark flickered in her eyes, a depth of truth waiting to be unveiled. Emma could see it threatening to break the surface, waiting for just the right moment to emerge. What was left unsaid lingered heavily, the question pressing on her mind: what family secret could Marie possibly hold that could alter everything they thought they knew? The room swayed with a heavy pause, time almost suspended as every eye turned to Marie, deep-rooted history swirling within that flicker of uncertainty. Emma watched, apprehensive yet hopeful, as silence cocooned them, wrapping around the very air they breathed. It was a moment dense with potential, the kind that could either heal their torn community or unravel it entirely. "Marie?" Emma coaxed gently, her voice barely a whisper now. She noticed how Marie's fingers fidgeted, the telltale sign of nerves bubbling under her brave facade. I think I know something," Marie finally said, her voice quivering, yet there was a sense of urgency behind her words. The diner shifted in intensity, leaning in, willing to hear whatever truth lay buried beneath years of silence. "It's about my family, about what drove me away." Questions and confusions swirled around the small circle gathered in the diner. Faces mashed with puzzle pieces of disbelief and wonder, they waited, breath held, hearts pounding as if anticipating a storm to break. "What do you mean?" Mr. Johnson asked, his tone softened now, the bite of sarcasm replaced by genuine curiosity. The moment held an intensity that seemed to amplify every heartbeat in the room. "Before I left," Marie took a breath, gathering her thoughts. "I found something in my mother's things, something she never spoke about. It was hidden, tucked away where I thought I would never find it." Her voice trembled. "She had letters. Letters that spoke of a different life, one where everything we believed was wrong." The diner was a landscape of shocked expressions, the clinking of silverware now just a distant memory. Marie's revelation hung in the air like a thick fog, obscuring clarity but also bringing a sliver of hope. "There was mention of someone connected to our family, a name I didn't recognize." But the weight of those letters, her voice cracked, an emotional tremor spilling out the gravity of her words. "They weighed heavy with secrets about a part of us I never knew existed." Emma felt her chest swell with emotion. This was no ordinary sharing, this was an unearthing, a daring plunge into what they all thought they knew. "What name, Marie?" she asked, urgency creeping into her tone. "Rosie," Marie whispered. "A name I never heard until those letters. My mother wrote about her often, but she never explained who she was." It felt like a ghost lurking in our family tale, a part of history obscured by silence and pain. The crowd murmured, a swell of confusion mixed with intrigue. Emma's heart raced. Could Rosie be the key to rediscovering their roots, or was it a doorway better left closed? Do you think she could still be connected to us? Could she still be alive? Emma ventured, a wild hope igniting in her heart. I don't know, Marie admitted, sorrow and determination blending on her face. But if we're going to rewrite our story, I think we need to find out. The conviction behind her words echoed throughout the diner, igniting a flicker of resolve in everyone present. Just then, a chorus of voices rose, each one more supportive than the last. We need to look into this. One person shouted. Emma felt the electricity in the air shift, the tension easing slightly as shared purpose wove them together. Yet a shadow lingered in the back of Marie's eyes, a hint of fear underlining her bravery. But what if we find something that changes everything? Something we can't come back from? The question hung like a delicate thread, ready to unravel at any moment, stirring anxiety within Emma and the others. Before they could respond, the bell above the diner's door tinkled, swinging open to let in the cool evening air. Someone entered, footsteps echoing with purpose. Emma turned, her heart racing again as the stranger approached, a look of recognition brewing in their eyes. Could this new arrival hold the answers they desperately sought? As the crowd turned, excitement and trepidation playing on the edges of their hope, Emma felt the weight of what was to come pressing down. What revelations awaited them now? The strangers stepped forward, their presence commanding attention in a way that felt eerily familiar to Emma. A woman, probably in her late 60s, with graying hair pulled back in a tight bun and a bright-colored shawl draped over her shoulders. Despite the warmth of the diner, a chill swept through the room, knitting eyebrows and tightening throats. I'm so sorry for intruding, the woman said, her voice smooth with an underlying emotion, like the soft rustle of leaves in a breeze. But I couldn't help but overhear your conversation about a name Rosie. Every eye turned to the woman, the air thickening with anticipation. You know her? Marie's breath hitched, hope that had begun to flicker reigniting fiercely in her chest. I am Rosie, the woman stated, her gaze steady yet vulnerable, as if she were unveiling a hidden part of herself. Gasps echoed through the diner, layers of disbelief, curiosity, and confusion rippling like waves across the crowd. Emma could feel the collective heartbeat of the diner race, jaws dropping in unison. You're Rosie? She asked, incredulous as she stepped closer to the woman. How is that possible? Marie found letters. Rosie's eyes glimmered with recognition. Yes, I wrote those letters. I never thought anyone would find them. I sealed those memories away for so long. Why did you hide them? Marie's voice shook with a mixture of hurt and longing, a child yearning for answers buried in the adult world. Her heart was a storm of emotions, dread of the past mingling with the hope that maybe, just maybe, they could piece together a fragmented family story. It was complicated, Rosie replied, her own voice faltering. There were things that happened in our family. Secrets I thought were buried would stir up too much trouble. The sentiment ricocheted through the diner, piercing each heart that yearned for connection. Emma caught Marie's gaze, both feeling a shared understanding of grief and loss that seemed to span generations. Please, don't keep us in the dark. An elderly man shouted, though his words were swallowed up by the anxious chatter that ensued. Rosie's eyes swept over the crowd, a flicker of discomfort in her expression. It took her a moment, but she squared her shoulders and met their gaze. I'll share what I know. It's about time someone uncovered the truth. A palpable energy surged through the diner, knitting them together in anticipation. It felt as though a dam had broken, releasing years of pent-up secrets that could reshape everything they understood about themselves and their community. But, Rosie continued, her voice dropping lower, I warn you, what I'll share might break your hearts. It could redefine who you think you are. The weight of her words hung over them like a dark cloud, threatening to storm. Emma felt her heart pound in her chest. There it was. the golden thread of connection intertwined with the looming shadow of pain. "We need to know, Rosie," Emma said fiercely, driving home the urgency in her voice. "We can't let fear hold us back. Whatever it is, we can face it together." The room fell into a hush, the collective breath held tightly as they hovered on the verge of revelation. Emma locked eyes with Rosie, determination shining through the uncertainty. "Please tell us we're ready." As Rosie's lips parted, ready to divulge a truth that had been cocooned for years, the diner door creaked open again. This time, a tall figure entered, his silhouette striking against the dim light. Emma's heart skipped. Who was this new arrival? Why did he look familiar, as if he belonged to a history she didn't know existed? More secrets? More revelations to unravel? Emma's mind raced, and with each thud of her heart, she sensed the fragile equilibrium of their newfound ordeal hanging by a thread. The figure stepped inside, and the diner seemed to collectively inhale, eyes widening, breaths catching. Emma's heart thudded painfully in her chest, while a sinking warmth flooded her. The man was tall and had broad shoulders, dressed in a dark jacket that contrasted against the white glow of the diner's overhead lights. He looked around, taking in the familiar scene, before his eyes landed on Rosie. "Is that you?" He breathed out, his voice filled with a mixture of surprise and tenderness that sent ripples through the crowd. "After all this time?" Rosie's face drained of color, and her expression flickered from shock to something deeper: regret, affection, maybe even fear. "Jacob," she whispered, almost to herself as if saying his name unleashed a torrent of memories. Marie stood frozen beside Emma, her confusion palpable. "Who is he? What is going on?" Her voice trembled, revealing the raw nerves beneath her uncertainty. "Jacob is my brother," Rosie finally revealed, her voice stronger but laced with vulnerability. "He left home many years ago." The news fell like a stone, sinking into the depths of each person's thoughts. A brother? Who was also entangled in the fabric of these long-hidden secrets? "Rosie," Jacob said, stepping closer, "I've been searching for you." "I never thought it was for your own good," she interrupted sharply, a hint of pain edged into her tone. "You know why I had to stay away." "Stay away? Or hide?" He shot back, the tension rising like smoke from a flame. Whispers traveled through the room of gasps and muttered words of disbelief. Emma's eyes flicked between the siblings, both tangled in their own narrative while the diner held its collective breath. Each second stretched out like eternity, held captive by the weight of unspoken words. "Do you see what your silence has cost us?" Jacob continued, frustration rising in a wave. "I never understood what happened, why you just vanished from my life." Rosie's shoulders sagged, the burden of years of shame snapping into focus. "I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want you to suffer like I did. What could possibly justify that?" Jacob pressed, anguish blended with a fierce longing for understanding. Emma's heart ached, vibrating with the raw emotional current flowing through the diner. It felt like they were all unwitting witnesses to an intimate family tragedy. She glanced at Marie, whose eyes were overly bright with tears, the sorrow etched across her features. "What really happened, Rosie?" Emma's voice cut through the thick tension, her urgency mounting. "Please, tell us the whole truth. We're here for you." The diners leaned in, each face poised, waiting for Rosie to finally unravel all that had remained unspoken for decades. The light in her eyes wavered between courage and fear. She met Jacob's gaze, a silent exchange passing between them, something like forgiveness slowly kindling. "All right," Rosie breathed, her voice thick but resolute. "If we're going to face these demons, we need to do it together. Because I need you to know the truth about our family and why I left." Suddenly, the bell on the diner door chimed again, startling everyone. This time, an elder woman rushed in, breathless, her hands trembling. "I heard," I must say, she paused, glancing between the gathered crowd and Rosie, "you can't leave this out." The air shifted again, thickening with unarticulated emotions, every pair of eyes now teasing apart another layer of this widening mystery. Emma sensed the crescendo of revelations drawing closer, pulling them deeper into an emotional whirlpool. Who was she? What did she know? And just when they thought they were prepared, it turned out this truth had its own tangled web, waiting to ensnare them all. Emma's pulse quickened, their world shifting once more, leaving them teetering at the edge of something monumental. The elderly woman, her silver hair illuminated by the diner's flickering neon lights, inhaled sharply as she steadied herself. She was a stranger, yet she held the weight of history in her eyes. Each person in the diner leaned in, the tension palpable, a shared breath held tight in their throats. "Excuse me," she began, her voice quavering but resolute. "I'm sorry to interrupt this moment, but I have something vital to share, something that involves Rosie and Jacob." She gestured towards them, her fingers trembling as if the words were too heavy for her hands. "Who are you?" Jacob pressed, urgency creeping into his tone. "My name is Miriam," she replied, glancing around as if afraid the shadows in the corners might steal her courage. "I worked with your mother, Rosie." I knew the truth, but back then, everyone thought it was best to keep quiet. Rosie's brow furrowed in confusion and disbelief. "You knew her? My mother? Why didn't you ever?" "Because I was scared," Miriam interrupted, her voice cracking. "Scared of what revealing the truth might mean. But I can't stand by any longer. There's a part of your family's history that has been hidden, and it's time for you both to know." A murmur spread through the diner, eyes darting between Rosie and Jacob, who now stood unnaturally close to one another, the space of years and unspoken grievances collapsing in an instant. Emma could feel the air compressing around them, pressing against her chest, mirroring the weight of revelations ready to unfold. "What did you find out?" Jacob asked, his voice steady, but the tremor in it belied a desperate hope. Miriam's gaze shifted, as if searching for the right words buried deep in her memory. "Your mother, she didn't leave by choice," she began, steadying herself against the diner counter. "There was a tragedy, something that changed everything." "What kind of tragedy?" Rosie whispered, her voice barely audible over the curious whispers of the crowd. "The day your father disappeared," Miriam continued, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, "it drove your mother to a breaking point. I was there. We all thought she lost her mind, but it was so much more than that. She wanted to protect you from a truth that could destroy you. She thought it better for you to believe she abandoned you rather than face the darkness that haunted your family." The revelation hung in the air, heavy and electric, while Rosie's face blanched. No, that doesn't make sense. She loved us." "She did, but she was afraid," Miriam insisted, desperation creeping into her tone. "Your father carried secrets that he took with him when he vanished. And your mother, she couldn't handle the weight. She thought leaving was her only option." Jacob's face contorted with emotion, anger, sadness, disbelief all combobulated into one. "So what are you saying? That all this time, my family's pain was built on a lie?" Miriam nodded, her expression earnest, almost pleading. "You have a right to know everything. A right to reclaim the parts of yourselves that were cast aside." Emma watched as Rosie sank into a nearby booth, her hands trembling on the tabletop. The murmurs of the diner faded into a low echo, a background to the storm brewing within the siblings. Emma felt the space between them open wide, filled with lost time and uncharted emotions. Nobody knew what to say next. The truth loomed large, casting shadows over the remnants of their lives. As Rosie finally raised her gaze to meet Jacob's, a flicker of something new crossed her face, a hesitant hope, a spark of connection forged in the promise of truth. "What do we do now?" Rosie asked quietly, vulnerability shimmering in her eyes. As the weight of holiday sorrow slipped through her fingers, Jacob stepped forward, determination hardening on his features. "We face it together. Whatever this is, we'll unravel it as a family." And just as they began to acknowledge this newfound path ahead, the ambience of the diner shifted again. A distant voice echoed from the back, a bartender adjusting a record. Whoever has been hiding this truth, you better have a good reason. The bell chimed once more, and Emma felt them all ready to plunge forward. But deep down, uncertainty nagged. Were they truly prepared for whatever lay beneath the surface? What if the deeper they dove, the more chaos they uncovered? Was family worth the pain that revelation could bring? Rosie's eyes darted around the diner, searching for answers in the faces of strangers, wondering how many held pieces of the story still hidden. Jacob paced slightly, running a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. We need to know everything, Miriam. If your story is true, then we can't just walk away. We owe it to ourselves and our family. Miriam took a deep breath, seeming to pull strength from the very foundation of the diner. There's more. Your father, he had a brother, someone your mother thought was dead. The truth I kept quiet all these years changed everything, but with your mother gone, it's too late to fix the past. A murmur rose from the diners as whispers filled the air, the weight of history feeling tangible, almost heavy. Emma leaned in closer, captivated. She could sense the restlessness among the patrons, their lives intertwining in the midst of this family drama. Why do you think your mother never told you about him? Emma asked softly, catching Miriam's gaze. Because of what he did, Miriam answered, her voice trembling. He was involved in something dangerous, something that led to the disappearance. Your mother wanted to shield you from it all, to raise you without that burden. Rosie shook her head in disbelief. But how could she keep something like that from us? Our family was built on those secrets. Secrets are tangled webs, Miriam replied, pressing her hands together as if seeking solace in their warmth. Sometimes they seem protective, when really, they nourish fear. As she spoke, Rosie and Jacob exchanged glances, their shared expression revealing burgeoning determination interlaced with doubt. What if we found him? This uncle of ours, would it make a difference? Jacob's voice cracked, filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Finding him may bring answers, Miriam encouraged. But be prepared, the truth can shake foundations. It might lead to more heartache, but it could also bring healing. The sound of someone discreetly sobbing in the corner caught Emma's attention. An elderly man, alone with pie and coffee, appeared to be trapped in his own grief. The juxtaposition pulled at her heart. Here they were facing their mother's secret life, while he seemed to wrestle with an invisible loss of his own. Let us take a break, Emma suggested, feeling a rush of empathy. Maybe we need to process this before we dive deeper. But an unexpected fire ignited within Rosie. No, she interjected firmly. We can't wait. We need to know the truth now. Jacob's brow furrowed as he considered. Are you sure you want to do this? What if we can't handle what we unearth? Rosie let out a shaky breath. We've carried this pain long enough. We owe it to Mom, to ourselves, to at least try. With a newfound resolve, they turned their attention back to Miriam, ready to sift through the layers of their hidden past. Just then, a waitress carrying a tray stopped short, the sound of porcelain clinking echoing in their midst as she dropped a cup at the urgency in Rosie's voice. Gathering secrets, are we? She teased lightly, but the knowing smile on her face quickly turned serious as she noticed the gravity in the air. Sometimes, life gives you all the answers at once or none at all. Before anyone else could respond, a shadow loomed at the entrance of the diner, a figure cloaked in mystery burst through the doors, catching everyone by surprise. The truth you seek, it may not be as safe as you think, the stranger warned, their voice a low rasp that ignited a chill among the diners. As the tension thickened, Emma's heart raced. What lay ahead was now uncertain, and the stakes felt higher than ever. Would they uncover the truth or more secrets? Would they be ready for each revelation? And with that, the familiar bell jingled above the door, casting a shadow over the future they were so eager to uncover. The diner was a swirl of emotions, a chaotic blend of anticipation and fear as whispers danced like ghostly echoes. Emma stood amidst it all, her heart pounding fiercely in her chest. The stranger who had just interrupted their fragile moment felt like a tempest, a herald of truths that could either heal or shred the bonds they had begun to form. "Who are you?" Emma demanded, her voice steady despite the storm brewing within her. The stranger's silhouette filled the doorway, casting an intimidating shadow. They had an air of authority, as if carrying weighty secrets of their own. "I'm someone who knows what you're really seeking," the stranger replied, their gaze sweeping across the gathered crowd. "And it may not come without a cost." Rosie clenched her fists, her determination not wavering despite the rising tension. "We're ready to face whatever it is, aren't we, Jacob?" She glanced back at her brother, seeking reassurance. Jacob nodded, his expression hardening with resolve. Emma felt a surge of energy ripple through the room. This was the moment, these were the stakes. "We want to know the full truth. We're not afraid of the past anymore," she declared, her voice ringing loud and clear. The stranger observed them, moments stretching, measuring their resolve. Then, with a deep breath, they took a step forward. "Then you must be prepared for what comes next. The truth is a chain that binds, but sometimes it binds us to things we wish we could forget." Miriam leaned in closer, her brow furrowed. "What do you mean by that? Are you connected to the family? Is there something you haven't told us?" The stranger shook their head slowly. "It's something that goes beyond that. I spent years tracking the aftermath of what happened. I know the stories, the lives that have been tangled in secrets. Your mother's past is interwoven with heartbreak that may hit harder than you expect." The chatter died down, replaced by a heavy silence, charged with the reality of the impending blow. Every face in the diner was illuminated with both fear and hope, teetering on the brink of revelation. "Let us hear it," Jacob urged, his voice filled with a calming authority amidst the chaos. The stranger began to weave their tale, detailed yet fragmented, like a quilt pieced together from lost memories. "Your father wasn't just gone. He was mixed up with people who could change lives or take them away. Rosie, your mother thought she was doing the right thing by shielding you, but it appeared that darkness followed your family. This can't be simply dismissed." The words hung in the air thickly, like the scent of brewing coffee. Emma glanced at Marie, whose eyes brimmed with tears, then back to Jacob and Rosie. She felt the weight of shared history schisming through their hearts, the loss coiling tightly around them. "What else?" Rosie's voice was a thin line, strained but pushing through. "There exists another branch of your family, they whom your mother tried to keep apart to protect you. But their hearts hold truths that could reveal much about who you are. They live with the repercussions of choices long made," the stranger explained somberly. "Finding them might be your way to understanding everything. Why tell us now?" Jacob's voice trembled, uncertainty replacing his previous courage. "Why not reveal this before? Because I was afraid," the stranger admitted. "Afraid that families could crumble under the weight of the truth. But sometimes, carrying that burden becomes unbearable, and sharing it is the only hope left." The diner pulsed with energy, ideas swirling as people absorbed the moment. Emma's heart raced with the urgency of their need for connection, community, and family. "Then we'll find them," Emma said firmly, resolve gleaming in her eyes. "We'll face whatever this family history demands. We can rewrite our story, one piece at a time." A whisper of agreement floated through the crowd. Hope surged, embroidering the fabric of their shared past with the potential for transformation. The stranger nodded, seemingly encouraged by their resolve. "Then let us get started. The truth is often buried but never truly lost. It waits, ready to emerge when the time is right, and it seems this is that time." In that moment, the air shimmered with possibility. Emma could see shadows slowly lifting, revealing glimmers of light threading their way through heartache, burdens lifting one by one. The past loomed large in every heart, yet they could confront it together, with hands and minds united, stepping into a new dawn. As resolve filled the room, Emma could almost hear the symphony of their collective heartbeat, a rhythm pulsing with newfound strength. Yes, there would be challenges ahead, but they were bound together by purpose, woven into the very soul of Maplewood. Let us not waste another moment, Emma exclaimed, the determination spilling from her voice. We have searching to do, and we will uncover whatever secrets lie ahead. Together, as family. And with that declaration, they began to breathe again, the first push toward a brighter path already stirring. The diner, once a backdrop for sorrow, transformed into a sanctuary of hope where every heart beat as one. As they collectively prepared to unravel the thread of their past, Emma found herself smiling through tears of joy. They would walk together into whatever lay beyond the horizon, ready for their next chapter, the one they would write together. Go ahead and spread this light. You need to subscribe now to never miss another transformative story. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help others join our community. Comment below your thoughts and your feelings about this ending. Your voice truly matters. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who could really use this kind of inspiration. Let us ignite hope and connection everywhere.